Now let's take a look at secondary porosity. Secondary pores, remember, are those which are formed within a rock after deposition. And there are several types of secondary porosity. Fenestral porosity isn't very important, and it won't be considered here, although it is described in the manual. Intercrystalline porosity is more important. Intercrystalline porosity occurs between crystals and is a significant type of porosity in dolomization.
Here is a thin section of a crystalline dolomite reservoir. Dolomite reservoirs are usually composed of secondary dolomite, formed by the replacement of a pre-existing calcium carbonate deposit. Intercrystalline pores are formed, as you can see here. It is this type of intercrystalline porosity that gives secondary dolomites their characteristic saccharoidal texture and can make them such important reservoirs.
Several types of secondary porosity can be caused by solution. It's a very important process in developing porosity in carbonates, but can develop secondary porosity in sandstone as well. There are several ways in which this process actually takes place.
Here's a slab of core showing secondary solution pores developed in limestone. Some of the pores are small and round. These are where pellets of lime mud have been leached out. This type of fabric, selective porosity, is referred to as moldic, and these pores, therefore, as pelmoldic. You'll also notice some irregular pore spaces which cross-cut the original fabric of the rock. These pores are referred to as vugs. The last important type of secondary porosity is fracture porosity. Fractured reservoirs can occur in any brittle rock that breaks by fracturing rather than deforming plastically. Thus, there are fractured reservoirs in shales, hard cemented quartzitic sandstones, limestones, dolomites, and, of course, basement rocks such as granites and metamorphics. Here is a rock sample showing fracture porosity. When this type of porosity is developed, the reservoir may have an extremely high permeability, although the actual porosity is not very high. It's also important to distinguish between fracture porosity and porosity which occurs within the rock itself. Very often, it's only oil or gas from the fractured pore space that's actually produced. When a rock has been fractured, the fractures need not necessarily remain open pores forever. They may be infilled by later cementation, by silica, calcite, or dolomite.